Pape has just released Arc 7 Chapter 52, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. I highly recommend you check out my Arc 7 Chapter 51 summary. Anyways, let's begin. Yona used her soul marriage technique to communicate with inorganic matter. This is probably the explanation to this phenomenon of Yona using the roof tiles as a foothold. Abel said it was extraordinary that Yona used her soul marriage technique on 100 or more followers. However, that wasn't the point. What if she was sharing her soul with the castle itself? Subaru knows how exhausting it is to give mana to people, considering Beatrice sucks mana out of him occasionally, and even during the time at the Petelguese watchtower, Subaru was exhausted due to all of the mana Beatrice sucked out. However, Subaru was just connected to Beatrice. The risk was 100 times greater for Yona. Despite that though, Yona was still physically strong despite sharing her ability with everyone, as she was able to destroy the castle in one hit. Olbart states that no matter how long you live, you eventually come up against weird techniques. However, Yona says that Olbart's techniques are also troublesome and should be erased. But Olbart says he's hard to get rid of. Yona chases Olbart and attacks him, and the castle itself started moving like an ocean chasing Olbart. Subaru seeing this knew that despite it looking like a wave, if these tiles hit him, he would die, so he immediately went to protect Lewis. However, the wave didn't touch him. Olbart dives into the waves and appears again past the attack. Despite Yona showing the full extent of her power, it seemed like Olbart still had more techniques. Either way, it showed how powerful these 9 divine generals were. Olbart stared at Subaru and Lewis and made a move. However, Yona jumped at Olbart and they struck each other with their feet and they were blown in the opposite directions. Olbart pulled out 4 black balls. However, Olbart states that these are crushed fire rocks. In other words, they're bombs. Olbart crushed one and threw the fragments, and he commented whether or not the people in Chaos Flame are stronger than those in the Shinobi village. Yona slashed at the air, catching all of the bomb fragments. However, the explosions went off and Subaru was blinded by the light. Subaru remembered from TV that if an explosion goes off, you should close your eyes and open your mouth. Subaru didn't do either, so his body was severely damaged. His vision went red. It just goes to show how powerful Olbart's bombs were. Subaru turned and through his bloodied vision he saw Lewis. We see Lewis trembling and tears forming in her eyes, but Subaru says that he's fine. As Yona is trying to focus on the bombs, Olbart appears behind Yona and attempts to pierce her heart. If this continued, Yona would die, so Subaru called out to Lewis. Subaru had a plan with Lewis that was discussed previously, and Subaru pointed at Yona and Lewis warped. Subaru felt a warm feeling of liquid hitting his face, and Olbart was curious at how Subaru and the girl randomly appeared where they were. Subaru grabbed Lewis's hand, which was a lot lighter. Maybe Lewis can warp multiple times to escape. Subaru calls to Lewis and says that they have to go, but Olbart says that she can't even lift her head. Subaru is confused. It was as if his brain couldn't understand it. Yona attacked Olbart, who dodged, and Olbart stated that Yona should be happy or else she would be dead. If it wasn't for Subaru and the girl, that is. However, now is only a matter of time. Yona looked at Subaru, and Subaru just slumped on the spot. All he could do was pull on Lewis's arm. His vision was dyed red, so he couldn't see Lewis properly, but he did know that Lewis was dead. Even though Subaru hadn't given her any conclusion, any answer, she listened to Subaru and died as a result. Subaru made her die. Yona tells Subaru to look at her. Yona pulls Subaru's head up. Instead of the confident face that Yona had, she had a pained expression as she looked at Subaru. She had a look of grief. Subaru could see himself in Yona's eyes. He fell to his knees. Subaru's left eye burst. His right eye fell out of his socket. Subaru looked like a bad zombie in a zombie movie. Yona asked Subaru to love her. Yona is of course beautiful, but Yona reiterates that Subaru should love her. Yona kissed Subaru. If Subaru loved Yona, then her power would most likely activate. However, Subaru said there was a girl he loved. No matter what, Subaru couldn't love Yona, and Yona's face tensed in pain. Olbart states that a thing between a man and woman don't turn out well, do they? Subaru's vision switched, and he sees red. It wasn't like Lewis's transition, which was instant. It was a lot more messy this time. As Subaru looked, he saw Yona bent down and a body on the floor. That must be Lewis's body. He also saw another body, his own body with no head. Olbart states that killing a child is mentally tough, but easier physically. Subaru sees Yona clash with Olbart again, as Subaru's head bounces across the rooftop. Subaru was dragged into a dark, dark space. No sky, no ground, no limbs. A space dominated by jet black in an endless void. The constant echoing of "I love you" could be heard. The emotion filled with those words are with sadness. The words "Where are you?" is uttered, and the scene changes. Subaru comes to, and Olbart states that he wonders if the people of Chaos Flame are stronger than those in the Shinobi village. He throws the bombs again, and like last time, Subaru is affected. Subaru, inflicted with pain, falls to the floor. A small body clings to him and calls his name. He couldn't tell. It hurt so much. Subaru flails on the ground as the small body tries to stop him from moving. His eyes and ears hurt so much, so Subaru banged his head on the rooftop so he didn't have to feel that pain. Olbart is shocked that Yona survived the explosion. Someone is arguing in the distance, but Subaru can't hear them. Someone states that they hate the sound of children crying, and someone says to wait for them. Shortly after, someone holds Subaru from behind and a warm sensation rises. Olbart states that he wonders if the people of Chaos Flame are stronger than those in the Shinobi village. As Subaru realizes what has happened, his vision was stained red. A crying voice jumps onto Subaru's body. Subaru's face is filled with tears and questions of why. Subaru's eyes are ruptured and his ears are burst, and he just thinks of why. Subaru thinks. The thing throwing Subaru into this world of pain and death is not returned by death. The chapter ends. Okay, there's so much confusion around this chapter, so I highly recommend you wait for like a proper translation. But my opinion from what's going on is that Subaru didn't return by death at all in this chapter. I believe he's currently in Aldebaran's looping ability. Now, there's a few issues with this because Aldebaran couldn't use his ability. We know this, right? So the question is, either Subaru gained Owl's ability because Owl was no longer compatible, so Subaru got the ability and he activated it randomly, or Aldebaran actually got the use of his ability again, maybe for some odd reason, and he's using the ability. Maybe he saw the explosions on the tower and he activated his ability. Now, the reason why I say Subaru didn't return by death at all in this chapter is because in the Shadow Garden, after Subaru dies the first time, it seems Satella says right at the end, "Where are you?" Because when he dies, he's supposed to go to the Shadow Garden and then return by death. But it seems this time he didn't go there, which means that he didn't die because he's looping through Owl's ability. At least that's my sort of thoughts. I have no idea. It's insane what's going on. Because it's really weird because when Owl and Subaru went to Yona's castle, Owl used his ability there, but Subaru wasn't affected. Maybe it's down to the sort of classes. If you watch my Owl's ability video, I talk about how there's like different denominations of Owl's ability, like the victim and the subjugator. Maybe in one iteration, so Owl was the subjugator, and now in this case, Subaru's the victim, quotation mark. So he's just looping. I'm not sure. We'll see. But this video was hype. This chapter was insane. I'm a bit sad that Lewis just got randomly one-shotted. I assumed she would be a lot stronger. Like, it seems kind of weird that she's like supposed to be like a weakened version of Gluttony, and she's randomly getting one-banged by a 9 Divine General. Like, especially when we know people like Julius, for example. Julius beat what's the name of the guy that was flying on the wyvern, Tanneroy or whatever he was called. Like, Julius easily beat a divine general, and this was pre-awakened Julius. And you're trying to tell me a weakened Gluttony can't beat a divine general, and she just gets one shot? Also, the fact that Olbart had Yorna on edge and nearly killed her, it seems weird that Yorna was saying that Cecilis can't kill her. Do you see what I mean? Like, the power scaling is kind of inconsistent. I have no clue what's going on. Anyways, thank you for watching. This was kind of long, but let me know what you think. I'm so confused.